Hi, welcome to me brandering with Josh and Mike, or Mike and Josh. Who gets billed first? I don't know. Probably you. This is your idea.
No, no, Josh is first. I did it in alphabetical
I get
order.
first. Oh, in alphabetical order.
Yeah, it's the fairest way to do
It's the
it.
fairest way to do it. Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we've never really done an intro, have
Yeah.
we?
Hey.
You don't want to know why? Like, maybe this should be the intro. Do you know what's kind of dumb to say out loud? Me branderings?
Yeah. No, me brandering is a stupid thing to say out loud. It sounds really stupid. We did a good
It
job.
looks it looks funny and interesting when you read it, but when you say it out loud, it's like,
No, the word me. That's what's fucking me brand. Yeah, it sounds dumb. There's no way to not make it sound dumb.
yeah, it's so
Good
dumb.
job. We're really off on a winning start here. Hey, the SEO would be good on it though if we ever get any traction here. Great SEO.
I looked it up. No one owns the domain, and LLC is available. Yeah. Well, anyways, hey, we're here.
We're here.
We're talking about, like, I guess the way we sort of framed this one up was 2024 was the year of, or will be remembered for blank, but through a marketing lens, but not like you have to work in marketing that consumers might have seen or engaged with, regardless of if they
Yeah,
work in marketing or not.
it's got to
But
be a
just like,
marketing angle, yeah, right? Because I mean, Donald Trump got shot in the ear, So,
I forgot about that one.
well, cool. Then maybe it's not the year of that if you've already forgotten.
It's kind of I forgot that was kind of a big thing. Oof, middle of the
But
summer.
that's not what we're talking about here. We've got to be able to put some sort of brand marketing spin on it, or it just feels like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
We'll have to
totally.
change the name of the podcast because right now it's so good. Yeah.
I mean, we definitely meander through a bunch of topics, so we kind of do that part. Well, I think, but like, it just happened, so I'm just gonna I think we have to talk about. We'll just talk about it first. This is the end of an era, or the era's tour. It's over.
Oh, the air
Last
tour.
last.
I did.
Do you know how many? Do you know how many shows she did in the last 18 months?
I know I saw the New York Times numbers on it. I think that the number of shows is almost irrelevant compared to the number of dollars.
Well, the dollars is huge for sure.
Like
She did
multiple
130.
like nations' GDPs.
Yeah, she did 130 shows in 20 countries or something.
Yeah, it's like billions and billions of dollars.
Crazy, crazy. So, I mean, that was like an odyssey.
Is that just the end of the? Is that the end of this discussion?
No,
24 will be remembered as the Eras tour and got it.
ending is the end. I mean, I think that's like that. It's like an important footnote in cultural history. No, I think related to that, Taylor is
Taylor who?
Taylor Swift. Sorry, I should have been more specific.
Just kidding.
I know you are. I know.
Who?
There, there are so few people, like, when you think, particularly in the U.S., like, think about like how like divided the country is right now.
Yeah, you got shot in the.
Yeah, how many people can you think of that are like unanimously loved?
I mean, I don't know if it's unanimous, but it's a heavy
Close as you can get.
close
I
as
mean,
you can get. Even I am, again, I'm not keeping up, but like I gotta admit, when that, however many years and years ago, when the friggin' 1989 record dropped, like, yeah, I remember. Dick, come on,
dude, I knew you were.
Huh?
I knew you were right away.
Yeah, I'm down.
Love that part. No, yeah, I'm with you. But she's like unanimously liked, and I feel like that is becoming increasingly less common now.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. Maybe Michael Jordan was like unanimously.
I think
liked.
Michael Jordan was pretty unanimously loved.
Yeah, Tiger Woods was until he wasn't. But like, other than though, I mean, there's probably other examples. Like Beyonce is probably up there as like not having a ton of detractors.
She's pretty on top of it. Yeah, I mean, she's the only other person who can give Taylor any sort of run for her money. I would say.
So, yeah, yeah. But anyways, that was my Taylor Swift. We can cut it if it doesn't even fit. But I just feel like 24 will be remembered. What do you got?
What do I got as the top things that I think? Let me look at my notes. Okay, I don't know. Start on like an easy-ish one, but like, and I feel like every single time I go on the internet, I'm like, oh, I could just buy that right here. It's like it's gonna be, and it's like I think that like future state, it's actually pretty crazy. Like how many places you can just purchase shit, you know?
Yeah.
So that's interesting to me. But what I really have thought about, like, and again, I could be totally wrong, right? But it's like this B, like, start with TikTok Shop being the big example, but all the other examples of it that exist, because all the you can do it on every social platform, right? And now, like, I think that creators are well, even beyond creators, but like channel owners of, like, again, like a blog is like a really good example of that, you know. But like all of these different vendors are like starting to develop all these different things. Could it become the start of the decline of the Bezos empire?
Well, specifically from an e-commerce perspective or just in general? Because I think, I don't know if you saw the recent news. Amazon just announced they're launching a handful of things, but most importantly, they're like creating their own competitive chip to what NVIDIA does to reduce their reliance on NVIDIA. So NVIDIA is like 95% of that market.
Yeah.
Just came out and said they are developing their own.
That doesn't surprise me one bit. Yeah, I mean, maybe that is just in terms of e-commerce. Like, obviously, they're going to be like the evil empire corporation for the rest of the time, unless something big happens. But yeah, from an e-commerce perspective, it's interesting to think that, like, if these like alternate methodologies of purchasing stuff could like start to disrupt that, they could. I think they could get dethroned a little bit.
Maybe it's just so dang easy. I think that's like,
it's so easy to go to Amazon.
Yeah, it's so easy to
agree.
shop.
And that's part of the whole thing, right? But it's easy to go to Target.com and all those other places too. But what I think is interesting, and obviously the whole like value, I mean, now I'm just like, I'll probably sound like, well, no shit. Like, I hope nobody from TikTok is watching this, right? But like, at the end of the day, like, it's the difference between where you already are versus a place that you have to go, you know?
Yeah. Well, and do you think it might result in like platforms like TikTok Shop, like, like shopping on Meta platforms? Like, do you think that'll end up being more more like akin to impulse buying, like grabbing something?
No, that's what I think. Yes, that's their whole prop, right? Is you get served an ad and then you buy it because it's right there. But I can see a world where if they start to optimize it and think about ways to be more disruptive about it, like, does it turn into things like versus you're already there versus you're going there? And I feel like I have talked to people who like open up TikTok to go on the shop, which is fascinating, you know? Yeah. And then we were just there. And I was just like just lightly riff. And this wasn't like the department. I wasn't interacting with people from that department, but like, as far as I understand, they have like a 1P and a 3P. Like they work with like all these different distribution models for like actually like fulfillment. And I'm like, that's crazy, you know? Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So
by the 2024 is the year of buying shit everywhere forever on your phone. I don't know. It's just exploding. And I think that like from a marketing perspective now, just to bring it back to mebrandering and for brands and all of that, like, it's like, if you're not doing this, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah. No, I think that's a good one. Buying things everywhere.
Buying things everywhere.
Every platform is not shoppable.
2024 is the year you just, wherever you are, you just buy shit on your phone. Because, you know, this is America. We just got this shit to buy. You can't buy it, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Well, mine is like not the same, but similar. So I think 2024 is going to be remembered as like the beginning of this the YouTube takeover. So like with the way they're projecting today, YouTube TV, so like the TV platform, will be the number one cable platform by 26.
Really?
Overall, like legacy, Spectrum, Comcast, AT&T, all that.
I mean, that makes sense. Like it's the nicest one to interface with. That's for sure.
Yep, for sure. This is like the year more people than ever, and it's like considerably increased, are watching YouTube, not YouTube TV, YouTube the platform on their TV. And I think in large part it's because YouTube TV has normalized watching YouTube on your TV.
Yeah, I watch YouTube on my TV.
Yeah, they've relaunched their like the way in which you can set up chapters if you're like a content creator. They're like trying to make it feel more like a streaming service, which obviously it's a streaming service, but like a paid for streaming service like Netflix.
Yeah, there was
all that's happening. Plus live streaming is having this moment right now. And like live streaming formerly was kind of this like weird corner of the internet. If you were like super into gaming or you whatever found your way to Twitch. But now like Kai Cenat is like, he had like 50 million people watch his series the last like month. 50 million? That is what?
Yeah.
You'd have to watch for a month straight, like 24 hours to find 50 million different people. Like, not kidding. Like, it's crazy. So I think all of these things together, 2024, I think, is the beginnings of the YouTube revolution.
Okay. The YouTube revolution. I mean, I'm here for that. I obviously am I would say I consume, as far as like watching things, YouTube is the top platform that I consume stuff on. 100%.
Yeah. And this is the other thing I forgot. So YouTube Live in particular is starting to pick up steam. So where you can like record live, people can. The thing I think is the coolest about it that makes it surpass like any other thing you watch in that format is the comments section.
Oh, the way. Yeah.
Because the people on the show can respond to comments that they see while it's going on, which is pretty.
I mean, that's not unique to YouTube because that's like how Discord.
No, it's not unique to YouTube, but YouTube has that.
Yeah.
And so I think it's like all of these like pressures together. It's like YouTube is coming.
Yeah.
It's going to take over our lives. That's my thing.
What's my next one? One of the ones that I was thinking about when you like texted me this prompt was 2024 is the year of Ozempic. It's the Ozempic year. This one is really fascinating to me. The more I think about it, is I'm just like, man, we don't know shit about the long term, right? It's like in 20 years, it's going to be like, yeah, Ozempic turned all those people into gerbils, and they're like literally just freaking gerbils or something. Yeah, Ozempic gave everybody that was on it, they were skinny, but then they had lizard skin after 6 years. It was like, it's just like, who knows what the fuck is gonna happen?
Yeah, they lost all their muscles, so they just turned into noodle people. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
they were like the dude from Fantastic Four, just like stretching.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good call. And there's so many like spin-off things and brands trying to capitalize on Ozempic.
I mean,
and,
we deal with this on a day-to-day for sure. I do. I do a lot.
But well, the side effects, right? It's like side effects or like altering life changes that you go through when that happens, and like things that you need as a result of those. There's like spin-off products. So it's created this whole like
ecosystem of capitalism. Yeah. Of all of these like additional things. And it's like everything from food to, medication, additional medication. And then like, like what was it? Talking about like clothing brands, like looking to support people, as they size down and all kind. It's like the ripple effect throughout like the brand landscape of like money to be made is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I have no notes. I agree with you fully.
No notes. A good segue into my next topic then, because we don't need to keep harping on Ozempic with 20 minutes left. Just this is a quick fast follow. 2024 also the year of fucking drugs, in my opinion. The drugs, like drugs, right? Obviously, there's a few of these that I thought was thinking about. One, I was just in New York, and I don't know if you've seen any of the articles about like how the cannabis thing has like, have you seen this? Like they've lost control of it in New York. They like legalized it, but it was like regulated. And then of course, like, and now like, dude, you walk down any street in New York City, there's a dispensary on every single street in Manhattan, and it's crazy. And apparently they're not regulating it. They're not like, and they've kind of just like given up. They're just like, oh, what are we going to do about this? And just like, so drugs, but that's just weed, right? So that's one of those, but beyond weed, the volume of CPG brands that I am getting served now that are popping up in my feed. Like my wife sent me a can of soda, and we talk about can of sodas too, but like, dude, it was a can of soda that had friggin' psilocybin and THC in it. It had mushrooms and weed. I was like, I mean, I'm down. Like, don't threaten me with a good time. I've done all of this shit, but like, we out here legally putting mushrooms and weed in soda pop now? Like, dog, I used to have to really go out of my way to find both of those things, and now I'm getting ads for it on Instagram. It's like, what the fuck?
You know what? This is going to sound ridiculous. This is specific. This is turning into Pot Corner. I'm just going to call it
Pot Corner. Welcome to Pot Corner with Josh and Mike.
Welcome to Pot Corner.
One of our recurring segments within me brandering is to do pot corner.
Hot. I was like pretty into it in my younger years.
Smoking weed?
Yeah.
Yeah, me
But
too.
part of the joy of that experience was the hunt.
Oh, the procurement of pot of weed? Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
24 is the year of the modern soda.
the modern soda, dude. I agree. 100%.
Yep. The
Yeah.
modern soda here, like, it is so prevalent and in your face now in every store that I shop in that I kind of feel like I'm a loser if I don't grab one.
You don't
It's
drink a functional soda? I can't drink the probiotic ones, man. Like I don't need a probiotic really. Like I'm fine. Like, and all it does is it has like the opposite effect for me. The probiotic, it makes me like physically uncomfortable with
I think they're like low key, not really very functional. I think there's
oh, of
like,
course not. It's bullshit. No.
but I have like a really strong opinion about this. Have you seen the trend where it's like, person will just be like, find a photo from 10 years ago and just be like, yeah, random Tuesday 10 years ago. It's this like trend on TikTok that's been happening. Anyways, this is how I feel about modern sodas. Cause like, you probably go on my phone and like me on a random Tuesday 10 years ago, I was drinking a Zevia and like,
I remember the freaking Zevia. You were a
I used
Zevia guy.
I was a Zevia guy. I loved the cream soda. I drank it almost every day. One of their biggest, most loyal customers. I used to go to Expo West and search them out. I would try and find the Zevia booths just so I could give them all high fives.
And be like, I love your fucking.
Yeah. So Zevia crawled so that Poppy and Olipop could run.
100%. Yeah.
Like they went too deep in they put too much equity into stevia, which is kind of polarizing.
Yeah.
And like calling it Zevia, it's like the stevia is right in your face, like the leaf is on the eye and everything.
Yeah.
But man, they're the reason you have they're the OG. They're the reason
OGs.
this like just boom of modern sodas. And I think that bubble is gonna burst at some
100%.
point.
I'm actually really curious to see is going to happen is if one of these like more B tier, C tier soda brands that's still like prevalent nationally just hard pivots out of soda and it's just like, fuck it, we're all functional now. We're not doing soda anymore. Like the top one in my head would be Fanta. Like I think everybody would agree that Fanta is like pretty garbage at this point. And you probably shouldn't be drinking Fanta.
Well, don't you think they could do it with like, I like where you're going. I feel like they could do it with one of those so Fanta's everywhere. It's too commoditized. Like
you don't need to get, yeah, they probably couldn't. And they got they got a really sick rebrand a couple years ago too. Sorry.
No, but I think they could do it with like, do you remember like Green River or like IBC? Like one of those
one of those like upscale, like bougier ones.
Yeah, because like a Poppy or an Olipop, those things are like $2.50.
Yeah, so do it with like Virgil's or Jones Soda. Dude, I bet you Jones Soda. Dude, Jones Soda, if you guys are listening, you should call us. Let's do.
But anyways, yeah, so I guess that puts us into other CPG. Maybe I wasn't, so check me on this if I'm wrong. Maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention, but there's two parts of this. I don't remember there being as much hype around brand new brand launches as much as there has been this year. So like,
well, I need an example. I mean, I would say that that's like you could probably plot that on like a graph that just goes in.
So I think I have this like general opinion that like everything that we're doing in marketing, but otherwise too, is like iterative, right? So we're like building on like previous things. So Prime did this pretty famously with Logan Paul and what's his name? Three letters.
KRI.
KSI. Thank you. I knew it started with a K and had three letters. Okay. So like they famously like launched a brand. It was super buzzy and they did a great job like creating scarcity.
Are you going to talk about the one that the follow-up brand?
Well, so that's kind of where I'm going. So this year, there are three brands that sort of came to mind. One just happened. It's kind of close to home for us. Unwell. So that Alex Cooper brand. There's a lot of buzz around it.
I don't even know about this. Am I out of the fucking loop? What's going on?
Alex Cooper from Call Her Daddy launched a hydration product.
Yep.
With Nestle.
No, I knew about this and I saw jobs posted to work there.
It's called Unwell and
that's a crazy name.
Target exclusive. Yeah, crazy name. Anyways, so there's that. The
Target exclusive model is super smart.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and so, yeah, no, I totally agree. So like Unwell just happened. So there's like a second part of this. And then, but earlier in the year, we had Lunchly, which was the Prime and
Lunchables.
Feastable launch. Yeah, it's like a Lunchables competitor. And then also the David, the bar brand from the RX bar founder, Peter Rahal.
Yeah.
That too, but like, it's not that new brands are launching. It's that these new brands are launching and there's so much buzz.
Well, like, yeah,
around.
they're launching and they I think that is like, yeah, super relevant to our line of work, and also just like good notes for like people we work with, and also like anyone
Yeah.
else like that. Yeah, like you have to do that. To me, what those
Yeah.
brands are doing is fucking table stakes in 2025. Like you cannot, I mean, again, like, if you've got a celebrity, all of these well, the dude from RX Bar though, that's not a celebrity. You know what I'm
He's
saying?
not a celebrity, but he's like
He has clout.
a reputation.
He has a reputation of like bringing forth a good product and all that kind of stuff. All those have three super different levers being pulled there, right? Like Unwell is
That's what
hitting you with the Target one, and then Logan Paul and Mr. Beast, like the two biggest jerks in the world, making Lunchables, and then finally,
for being at the front of Unwell is like, I mean, I don't know, one of the most famous women in the country.
That's what I'm saying. Like huge celebrity, right? So huge celebrity, and then again, the David one being an outlier. But no, I think it is true. I think that it's like, if you're going to go ahead and try to like, really what it is, and I think that you only get this if you have investment behind you, but it's like, if you're going to launch a brand like that, you have to be willing in the first few years to just spend an asinine amount of money on marketing, on media, on talent, on influencer, on everything. Because if you don't, like, the other brands are going to come in and, eat your proverbial lunch league.
Totally. Yeah, a good one. They're like, and they're just driving so much awareness right out of the gate through all this buzz.
That's the whole thing, right? And it's like, yeah, and it's not focused on, actually. So if we're talking about predictions, something that I think has been interesting over the last few years in this regard is that, like, I think that we saw over the course of the last few years this like big groundswell in certifications and like claims and what we have to call RTBs around, and all of this kind of stuff. It's like, that was sort of thing, like, put your certifications and your protein grams and your fiber grams and all of that, just like the whole front of your like brand and your package, everything in the CPG space was just all about that. And now we're finally entering, I think, into this world where like consumers have been bombarded with that messaging so incessantly that it's almost become the like expectation of any cool brand that all of that stuff is true. So stop talking about it. Like, you don't need to talk about it. Like, you don't need to have it be in your face, front and center. I don't need your USDA, like, organic circle. Like, I don't need it. Like, I don't need any of that stuff. Like, I need your brand to be fucking cool as shit and really hype out the gate. And that's what I think those three brands have in common.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, just like it's like out of control hype. And the like second part of it, which I think is kind of new. Maybe I'm like, the content I'm consuming has shifted. I don't know. So I'd have to like stew on it a little bit more. But it feels like more people have really strong opinions about these brand launches too. The number of people that are just like chiming in on whether they think Unwell is done correctly or done well. That's not whether Unwell is done well. Is that what I'm trying to say?
I like that.
Like, is pretty wild. Same with Lunchly. So many people had opinions about it.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I know.
David, there were people that were like mad about the synthetic ingredients and like going and talking about it. Like, the number of people just like offering up their opinions that are completely subjective at launch.
Yep.
Because no results behind it. So it's like, I don't think this is done well because these 4 or 5 opinions. I feel like that's like a whole new like culture of content that's come out of this too, which I think is really interesting. I haven't noticed it to this degree previously. Yeah. And I absorb a ton of content.
Yeah.
Like, not like humble brag here. I'm a top 1% podcast listener on Spotify.
That's good for you. Next one is, obviously, if the theme of this is 2024 is the year of, I think the one that we could have started with, obviously, aside from Taylor Swift, is that it's the year of AI. Like, yeah, right?
Yep.
But
yep.
Is it? Is it really?
I think it's the year of. There's probably a better way to say this. I'm admittedly not like a development expert, so this will come through in the way I'm saying this. I think it's the year of AI being integrated into the back end of many things that people don't see or feel directly.
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah. And there are efficiencies that are being created and optimizations that are being leveraged and blah, 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 blah. But in terms of the like consuming public, and maybe even less the consuming public, maybe the like white collar, the marketing public for sure, all of the things that, in my opinion, we have been promised about AI aren't real or aren't true. And every single time you kind of try to engage with a promise that has been made by a big platform that has a tool or a resource, it doesn't work. And if anything, it often makes things harder. And I'm saying this as somebody who thinks that they've gotten pretty good at prompting and all of, and I mean, I know there are people that are better, but
Yep.
even the best of the best on that front are still not, it is a 50-50 split in terms of whether or not it's actually driving efficiency or making things easier or more turnkey or whatever the fuck, speed to market. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like, well, there's a few things. I think like individual productivity tools that exist that are AI have become widely adopted and are
Yeah,
making people efficient.
100%. Like, yeah, especially with the simple stuff. Like, we got a note taker outside of corporate space. Do we have a corporate? No, do we have like a good working note taker that works, in your opinion, well?
And so Microsoft Suite now has Copilot, so you just start a
Oh, we can
transcript
use
and then
Copilot. We're allowed to use Copilot. I've
yep,
the,
yep.
the ones that I've used outside of the Microsoft suite are better. Say that as a Seattleite.
Copilot's good for like meeting notes
Yeah.
and action. I think it works really well. The other thing it does, so like there's like things like that. There's like the using a GPT-4 for like, and there's a bunch of iterations. Like, we have access to one and the ability to take, I've actually found really useful, I think, like in practical, like individual efficiency that it creates is like,
Yeah, 100%. Maybe the place that I think it's not. Well, one, you're not an ads guy. You don't have to be Mr. Advertising, and so that's like this
right.
whole huge realm
Yeah,
where a
totally.
lot of checks have been written that have I've tried to get these people to cash them, and they can't cash them. You know?
Totally. I think, well, particularly for visuals, I think visuals is still not perfect. It's getting better. There's
Yeah.
like that buzz about the Coca-Cola Christmas ad and it's all AI generated. It's like, okay, I don't care. But like, I think for most, to your point, it's like, it's not good enough to go to market in many instances right now. And so it's like, there's like the productivity side of it. And then there's some of it that just feels like it's like a toy,
I
like a
mean, that
toy.
I like it for, right? Like, who doesn't enjoy fucking around with these tools? Like, it's fun, you know?
Yeah. It's super fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's things like within GPT-4 now, you can have it analyze documents, right? And
Yeah.
so like you could send me a brief for something you're working on that you would send to an agent. You could send that to me. I could upload it into GPT-4 and say, you know, tease out a cultural positioning and a core insight and like a campaign and
See, all
give
of
me
that
some.
stuff is where I'm like, I think it falls flat. That's actually, those are my biggest like concerns. Like like there are a lot of places where I'm really excited for it, right? Like, so, because I don't want to be like the lame grandpa over here who's like not on the AI train. Like in
Yeah,
education, in medicine, there are like all of these sectors where I'm like, it's going to be amazing. Right. And you
yeah,
read the headlines and it's super impressive. We're just talking about me branding and marketing. So
yeah,
far, it's still embarrassing, in my opinion. Like the stuff it comes
yeah,
back with,
yeah.
I'm just like, oh man, like because it has no taste, you know.
Well, it's like taste and emotion.
It had well, yeah, the emotion is bad, and then yeah, like AI's
Yeah.
taste level is like, God, buddy.
Yeah. Well, there's like nuance too, because there's like things you feel but you can't explain.
Yeah,
And so like, how do you explain the unexplainable verbally to a alert like an artificially intelligent learning model? Like how do you do that? I don't know. There's probably really smart people trying to figure it out.
they're that's actually maybe like the headline here is like It's like 2024 is the year of like in marketing. Again, if we're just keeping it where we're at, it is the year of AI, and heavy,
Yeah.
like we're using AI to
Yeah.
do what? Like summarize your meeting and like help you write a better email, or like actually drive like in market efficiency of your like, objectives.
It does a lot for internal efficiency, but it like still falls short consumer facing. I think that's the headline.
Yeah.
My opinion.
Yeah.
And like, I think there's some like really incredibly good stuff coming out of it. Like, you've heard me say this. I feel like if you're a marketer in 2024 and you can't create anything visually yourself,
Yeah.
you're just on you're helpless.
If you can't make your slides look good, you're in trouble.
Can't make your slides look good. Can't like throw something together because you need it really quickly. Can't like follow brand guidelines and like make something in Canva. Like that's like kind of inexcusable.
That's some table stakes. Is 2024 the year of Canva?
I don't think so, because Canva's
been around, but it's like, well, let me say this. I think that 2024 is the year that like every organization realized that not having a Canvas license for like everyone on their team was a miss. So in that regard, I think that 2024 could be the year of Canva, and I'm sure Adobe's real pissed, is what I would say.
So 2024 is the year of growth of women's sports is inevitable now.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not like this abstract idea. It's like, it's finally come to a place where investing in women's sports
is like
real ROI,
yeah,
and is a good investment.
Yeah. And kind of a no-brainer. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, there's no pitching for like why this is smart now. It's like, it's almost like universally known and held. They're like, this is a smart investment.
Yeah.
I think that changed with Caitlin Clark. Like, just like to put like a pin on the person, like talk about a cultural zeitgeist around something that few people formerly watched, not a lot, and talk. And so like,
yeah, it's had moments versus like just really solidifying a space in the zeitgeist kind of thing.
It's a huge movement now. And it's like, that's why I was saying, like, I use the word inevitable. It's like the growth of this space is sort of like, there's like no denying it now.
Yeah.
And it's very obvious. The value's there. Like, there's all these like, like when you think about like who the women's sports fan is too, it's like, they spend like $3 trillion a year.
All right.
Because I
have like almost nothing to add to this one, because it's just like it's a no duh thing. I mean, the only thing that really to add is like took long enough,
Well, totally, yeah.
Global
do you know what I think? One of the things that it suffered from most is it didn't, and I'm borrowing from a friend a little bit because I heard her say it. It like really resonated with me. Her name's Caroline. She's awesome. Women's sports doesn't have like the institutional and familial, like grew up a blank fan because my parents were.
Yeah.
And so like Leroy is going to be like, I grew up a Packer fan because my dad was. And that's just like, it's like an institution, and women's sports is still relatively new. So it doesn't have that super strong base. And then all the new things coming in, like not having that, I think is like probably the biggest reason why it took so long. You have to like, the teams were moving cities. There weren't that many of them. So if you don't have a team in your city, like,
yeah,
are you going to
what are you doing?
Yeah. Right. So anyways,
I mean, obviously all of that ladders back to the patriarchy, bro. 2024 was the death of B Corp.
Do you think that's because too many brands have it?
Yeah, it's kind of like TSA pre. Yeah, it's just like it had like this. It seemed really mission driven, and consumers who were concerned with CSR, corporate social responsibility, and all that kind of shit, were like, yeah. But now it's at the point where like any brand, regardless of what they represent culturally, can achieve that certification that was supposed to mean something. And the massive oversaturation of people having achieved it has kind of, it's like TSA pre, where it's just like, okay, am I getting on this plane early? Probably not. This Spirit Airlines flight or whatever.
I mean, do you think there's anything out there? So yeah, I mean, I think you're right.
I think it's
I don't.
already ripe for like a pretty intensive like disruption where like other groups will come out and be like, no, we actually hold organizations' feet to fire to be good global stewards, to be good, citizen stewards or whatever it is that they're supposed to be. And B Corp is just full of it. And yeah, I don't know. That's what I think that this year I'm seeing more and more. And it's not like we've even dealt with it that much at work. So I don't even know if this is like a first person bias or if it really is just like looking out at the landscape of like turning over products all the time and being like, yeah, okay, sure.
Well, I think it's a couple things that, to your point, it felt more when it was more like when it was a smaller set of brands that made it feel as though it was truly, and I'm not saying it's not, but truly rigorous to be certified.
Yep.
And I'm not saying it's not. I believe it still is today.
Yeah.
But you can throw dollars and resources at rigor.
Yeah. And actually like get to a point where you're ticking boxes that like don't actually mean something.
Right.
Because something else that's nefarious or backhanded is happening on the other side of the coin or whatever.
Well, and I think too, like, so B Corp has 3 pillars, right? People, planet, purpose. Those are like the things. So like so I do think that there is like a real challenge in that like many people perceive B Corp to be a sustainability certification.
They do, yeah.
Right. But if you're doing a lot of good on the people side and on the purpose side, but you ain't doing shit like a lot for the planet, you can still get a certification if you're like, because it's a cumulative score, right? What most people don't know, so I'm like deeper in the weeds than most, you achieve a score through B Corp. There's a minimum, I think it's 70 points, but it's like you can get up to, I think 160. So 70 out of 160 certifies you. I'm like, no,
this is actually really interesting. I'm sure people are curious about this. Yeah. Okay. So if you can accumulate 160 points, but 70 equals a certification, that is ripe for disruption and for public
B Corp. Most consumers don't actually know what it is, like what we talked about with like people, planet, purpose. They don't know. And I think it's like, I don't know enough. So I'm not going to like say like, this is the way, but 1% for the planet just says we're giving back 1% of our revenue to the planet. Like that's what the cert means. That's what you have to do to get it. Like pretty straightforward. So it's like you're $100 million brand in annual revenue. You got to give $1 million for planet-related initiatives, and I don't know what those are. So I don't know if that's like, if it's just like wrapped into offsets and shit like that. If that's the answer, it's probably not the way. But like, if that could be the type, that's like so transparent. If it's set up.
Actually, I'll stand on TSA Pre being a pretty good analogous example here. Like Clear thing is very interesting, and there's no way that Clear is the only certifying body in 5 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. It's like where's the next Clear for B Corp to like set aside, like, I don't know, I guess more clearly like group together the businesses that are doing it right.
Yeah.
Is that
and actually, and again, have rigor beyond rigor, like have it have meaning, and actually have impact, like real impact that is like not.
Well, one of the biggest ones that's like Danone, the like, you big old yogurt brands.
Is that how you say that?
Danone? I think so. Gosh.
I don't know.
You think it's Danone?
No. I've heard that. Anyways.
Danone? I don't know. They're a B Corp, whole organization, not specific
properties.
Brands. Yeah. So that like them being B Corp is one, like has put that organization under a magnifying glass.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, how can they possibly be a B Corp?
And so is the scrutiny then on the businesses, or is it on B Corp for that being the reality? And to me, that's where like where I would say that this could be the beginning of a pretty heavy pushback. That's the perfect example, actually.
Yeah. It's fair. All right, I got one that's closer to home. That's more like fitness and wellness. You ready on that one? Okay, so 2024 is the year that running officially became cool. Officially became cool.
Is it just because of On shoes?
No, it is not because of On shoes. I mean, On shoes is part of the zeitgeist of running.
Things are fucking cool. People like wear those shoes.
So I think there's a couple things. So I saw some research, I don't know, can't remember where it was from. 50 million people run once a week. Chances are of those 50 million people, there's probably some cool people in there. So that probably helps,
I
right?
mean, sure.
I think fashion for running, I'm going to like throw this out there. It's an opinion I have. I don't know if it's like actually rooted in enough fact to be like ironclad. I think particularly on the men's side, but overall, Lululemon and the athleisure boom that it created, athleisure items get worn running, and it replaced a lot of the like legacy dorky as hell running gear that people were running in, for sure. And so I think the like part of it becoming cool is like that foundation, and then there's like all this like streetwear influence.
So you think running has become cool because the clothing associated with running is finally dope?
That's part of it. So that's a piece. I think more people are doing it. It's like actually become like a bit of the zeitgeist. The like apparel and associated things around it have become cool. So you called out like On. I think like footwear is a part of that too. And then, but there's like these like hip, trendy apparel brands like Bandit that are like super streetwear influenced, and like, there's, shout out Bandit, but like there's those. And then like running clubs, concerts are now attracting young people in large part because they've sort of, there's like a lot of competing pressures here. Run clubs have become like a place to socially meet people that you might want to date.
Yeah, I've seen TikToks, joke, skits and stuff about that. Being
Yeah.
like, what do you mean you're here to run? Like, I'm here to hook up.
Yeah. And it's like a generally healthy thing. Usually it's like bookended by some sort of social gathering. And it's like, so all of those things together have made running cool.
Running is cool, he says. I mean, again, I'm not a runner, never been a runner, but that's not true. I say that as if I wasn't a runner like all through my 20s and like had the, okay, shut up.
Yeah, so 2024, the year running became cool, and I'm like kind of salty about it because when I was running the most, like 12 years ago, running was dorky as hell.
Yeah, I mean, in my head, running is still pretty lame. It's pretty corny.
I mean, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, just saying, and I like, here's the like biggest thing of all.
You're mad, like, same way that I would feel about like the music thing being a part of like a niche subgenre as it becomes a part of the cultural zeitgeist. I'm always just like, shut up, fuck you.
And I think cycling for the longest time had this like aura of being kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because it's a little more like insular. So it felt more exclusive. I think running has now surpassed cycling. And I think running is now cooler than cycling.
Running is, and cycling has always had its detractors of like, oh, you look like an idiot with your little jumpsuit on kind of thing. Yeah. Okay. All right. Very noon topic.
I mean, yeah, I think it's just like it's happened, and I think there's a lot of things that drove it. But anyways, so there's that. Okay, this is my last one. So I said it before, everything's like iterative, and I think Barbie created a new blueprint for how large, like cultural and more entertainment-leaning properties create consumable items. Not just like merch and like traditional shit, but like Barbie doing a collab flavor with Olipop has now allowed like Wicked and Brat, and like it's not just movies, it's like all things, and it's like it's like a blueprint that's like really starting to accelerate. And there's probably like those are the like, obviously like Brat Summer and Wicked were like the two that were like front of mind for me, just like integrating and like all the collabs, just like an explosion of collaborations in support of this cultural zeitgeist. And my guess is all the brands want to jump. Like, if you get random outreach from Wicked being like, hey, Noon, do you want to do like a witch's brew cider immunity blend for the launch of our movie? Like, who says no?
Yeah. It's a bad example because like that would never happen, but yeah.
Well, I know, that's what I'm saying. Like the way they're doing this now, it's like, it feels like they've just like smashed their foot on the gas to really accelerate all these collabs.
This is the year that like entertainment property 2024, thanks to Barbie, can drive brand collaboration in like a crazy way that is like going to be super interesting to watch play out. I mean, the only other thing I was going to think of that we don't have time to talk about here now was just around personalization. Is like that's the trend. If you download a bunch of white papers from different organizations, everybody's talking about personalization. in marketing, like marketing personalization is the future. I agree 100%. Not going to lie, personally. So I'm not even going to try and dig into like what this is going to mean like long term. Personally, don't. No, I will unsubscribe so fast if you start to try to over personalize. I don't want it. Some people seem to want it. They're like, I want to feel like the brand. And maybe that's because we work in marketing. But man, nothing turns me off faster with a brand than if they're like, happy birthday. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Don't.
Yeah, like call it like meaningless or like emotionless personalization is like kind of silly,
Yeah.
you know?
And all of these brands are scrambling to try to do more of it. And it's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's not for me.
No, that's fair. I mean, I think this year about AI earlier, but like the last thing is like I feel like I've become an expert in spotting AI
Oh, yeah.
drafted emails.
Yeah. 100%.
I'm like I'm like a super user for whatever that skill is to be like, this email has so many words and line breaks and paragraphs and bullets. No human wrote this.
Yeah.
This was AI generated for sure. So like, if I could give advice to anybody, just like when you prompt your AI, just like ask them either like upload some writing samples of your own writing style so it can see it and learn from it, or like ask it for minimal words. It's like, unless we want to create this world where like I'm sending you an AI written email and you're having AI read the email and then respond back to it. Unless we want to create this world where we're just like looping AI jargon at each other, like let's like pump the brakes and like let's be better.
Let's
Is
be
what
better.
let's be better as like stewards of the work environment. Don't send me a jargon pile created by AI. Like, turn it back.
No.
Do your diligence.
I'm gonna send you a jargon pile email right now just to piss you off. Well,
I guess most important question though.
who's gonna fucking listen to this? Is my question.